All right, ladles and jelly spoons. I'd like to start off this episode by thanking you all for subscribing to the channel, or at least those of you who have subscribed to the channel. I think over the last few weeks we surpassed 100 subscribers, which is a monumental achievement for me, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all. I believe that you are sorely misled in subscribing to this channel and thinking that it's some good form of entertainment, but that's not my decision to make, and thus I thank you for contributing to the community, of which it is very small, but at the same time it's bigger than I thought it would ever get, to be honest. I actually didn't think that I'd have this much to offer, but here we are. I stand corrected. But yes, thank you very much for subscribing, as much as I think you've been misled into doing so. And on that note, what is daylight spending? Shit, he's only gonna fucked it at the first hurdle. Sorry, what is daylight saving and why does it need saving? Who will save it? How is it saving you? What is that man doing in your cupboard? Why are you running? Obi-Wan asked calmly. All these questions may or may not be answered on this episode of Tales from the Forbidden Noodle, an accurate portrayal of the forbidden noodle in my noggin that is called a brain. Episode 1. Saving daylight. It was originally called Spending Daylight, which is probably why I fucked up on the first question now I think about it, but there we are. I think I'm on take 4 now. You would have thought I would have got it right this time, but apparently not. So today we uncover the lies the BBC has told us, and by BBC I mean British Broadcasting Corporation, not Big Black Cop. So, for those of you unfamiliar, in the UK and some other countries, there's a thing called daylight saving, whereby we take the sun prisoner during the winter and let it loose in the summer in order to rid ourselves of our sins by instead trading it for things like sunburn, kids collectively shitting in outdoor swimming pools, and my birthday. So, the BBC isn't actually lying, but I do think more can be done. So on that note, according to BBC Science Focus, the main reason we have daylight saving time is simply to make better use of the daylight available. Between March and October, an hour of daylight is borrowed from the morning and added to the end of the day. In modern society, this means saving a fraction on energy bills, which, as we all know, are rather high at the moment. Now, we're going to circle back to this slide at the very end of the video, but I think it's worth bearing this in mind. Or, to put it simply, in the summer, if the time is 5 o'clock in the afternoon, then the time is 4 o'clock in the winter. Which means at 6:29 on the 25th of March, it is 7:31 on the 26th of March. Makes sense? Cool. Gonna need to remember this. On the face of it, this kind of makes sense. But during the winter, on the shortest day of the year, the sun sets at 5 to 4 in London. Meaning that literally anyone who works a 9 to 5 job won't see a single hour of daylight unless they go Ray Mears walkabouts on their lunch break. So, let's take Middlesbrough as our case study because, well, it's in the middle of the UK. According to Google, the sun sets on the shortest day of the year in Middlesbrough at 3:41 PM and at 9:45 PM on the longest day of the year. And this is where my annoyance comes in, because for half of the year, we have collectively, as a society, made an active effort to not only make it dark during our free time during the winter, but to make it broad fucking daylight during the summer at fucking bedtime. And I can't help but ask the question, why? The argument is that we're saving energy, but who's turning on all the lights at fucking bedtime? And what part of having the sun out at fucking bedtime is daylight saving? But I get it, that's a very niche case, because that's the longest day of the year. And at the end of August, for example, the sun starts to set at 8 o'clock, which is a bit more reasonable because people are obviously starting to think about going to bed by this point. So the previous slide was a bit of a mute point and completely useless, so I apologise for wasting your time on that one, but I added it in for whatever strange reason, and so it stayed in there apparently. And the sun sets at 5:38 on the 28th of October. But then we fuck it up again by deciding the following day to turn the clocks back so the sun sets at 4:30. And the more I think about it, the more annoyed and bamboozled I get. We save a small fraction of daylight in the summertime, only to bottle it and lose it all in the winter. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we go through so much effort to make the entire country change the time twice a year just to do this to ourselves? And what part of it is daylight saving in the winter? Are we saving it by ensuring the sun's rays never grace a man's skin during the working week? I am sorry, your daily quota of sunshine has expired for this year. Is it any wonder we're so miserable in the UK when we go out of our way to actively make our lives more depressing? And it's not like our workplaces need set daylight in the winter. Now, I don't know about you or other people in the UK, but the last 3 companies I've worked at have all had their lights on regardless of daylight conditions. It could literally be like middle of summertime, hottest day of the year, we will guaranteed still have our lights on. Because why the fuck not? But I'd like to point out that this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because good lighting equals good health and safety, which is very important. Meaning you're less likely to, trip and sever your backside on a Mavic VTC 800. You just never know when those are going to pop up and scare you out of nowhere. And especially in the dark, they're especially dangerous. Now, I'm a man of principle. I like to complain, but I also like to provide solutions, because I feel like complaining is just, drawing attention to something without actually doing anything to contribute to it. So here on the Shizzle 6 channel, we do things properly by thinking about them until we get distracted by... Oh yes, so here's the plan. We plot the sunrise and sunset charts without daylight saving, because this allows us to see the average sunset time, which is approximately 6 in the morning and 6 at night. We can then use this to approximately deduce October and March as the corresponding times that a time change should take place, which achieves exactly nothing because we already do that. But then, through a series of 2 very complex algorithms that I call I want to see daylight in the winter after work and I don't want to be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, bathed in sunlight, I propose the following solution. We change our time zone to +1 GMT, which I appreciate is pretty underwhelming, but I do have another proposal up my sleeve, which you're not expecting probably. Maybe you are. I don't know. I can't read your mind. So, on that note, I propose we adopt the daylight intermediate cycle kickoff, where we adopt a +1 GMT time for the summer and a +2 GMT time for the winter, meaning that the sun never sets before 5 o'clock, with the only catch being that the sun doesn't rise until 11 o'clock in the morning during the peak of winter. Seasonal depression, or a case of getting the SADS, has the following theory associated with it. The main theory is that a lack of sunlight might stop part of the brain called the hypothalamus working properly, which may affect the production of melatonin, the production of serotonin, and the body's internal clock, otherwise known as the circadian rhythm. But I'd like us to pay particular attention to lack of sunlight, of which we are lacking for 5 months of the fucking year. Outdoor activities. You can't really do them in the dark, at least not without going out of your way to buy things like head torches and stuff. But I'm talking about kids playing after school, kayaking, sailing, walking, running, cycling, gardening and landscaping, flying a drone, skateboarding, flying a kite, having an unseasonal barbecue, snowball fights, fishing, rock climbing, visiting monuments and doing touristy things, wildlife spotting and many, many more things. They can't be done during the winter because it's fucking dark. No wonder we're depressed. Safety. Can't really do that in the dark either. At least not without a bit of difficulty. At least with a big company you can get like big spotlights and shit like that. Make it a bit more safe. Basically make it broad daylight in the dark. Can't really do that if you're on a household budget though. And you know, you've got a mortgage to pay for and or rent or some other things. So, ladles and jelly spoons. With our current system in Middlesbrough, for 5 months of the year, the sun starts to set prior to 6 o'clock. Now let's say you leave work at 5. It takes 30 minutes for you to get home and about an hour to get yourself sorted, make dinner, eat dinner and prepare yourself for whatever daylight activity you had in mind. But too bad. The sun says no because it's already 6:30 and it's already set. Now of course you could postpone dinner until later in the evening, and if you do this, congratulations on your half an hour of daylight saved. For 1 month of the year where you can actually use that tactic in winter. Well done. Big claps for you. However, with +1 GMT, this is only an issue for 4 months of the year. And it's halved again with dick time, with only 2 months of the year causing depression. Which cycles us back to one of the first slides at the beginning of our presentation on why the clocks change. Because if daylight is postponed until after work, then it means when we get home, we're not turning on the lights. We're not turning on the heating as soon. And it means we're also more likely to be out of the house and less need to have the heating on, for instance. Which means we're saving energy, we're saving money. So we're not only improving our mental well-being, but we're also saving money in the process and just making our quality of life that little bit more better. And it's not a perfect solution, granted, because you've got people who work outdoors, for example, construction workers, people who service internet lines and things like that. And you've got to cater for those people somehow. You can't just leave them out in the in the dark. But it's a solution. It's a potential solution to a problem that we have. Which is better than what other people have suggested, I think. Because I don't think anyone else has really suggested anything with regards to daylight saving. As far as I'm aware, I'm the world's first. Which is very egotistical of me. I probably shouldn't say that because I'm guaranteed to be proven wrong by somebody in the future. I refuse to believe that out of the hundreds of years of human existence and daylight saving that somebody hasn't thought of something like this previously. But it's worth thinking about. And, you know, it could lead to something. Maybe, just maybe. It probably won't, but I digress. And on that note, goodbye and thanks for watching.